Hey, how you guys doing? One of my viewers commented, can't remember the gentleman's name, but one of my viewers commented about Rolex. He says, "Don't be a Rolex snob," and he's, referring to, Omega is just as good as Rolex, and I don't agree. I think Rolex is better than Omega. I like both brands. I'm not a Rolex watch snob. I didn't take any offense to what he's saying. This is just all watch talk, and it's all cool. And that's always the big debate is, Rolex versus Omega all the time, okay? But I want to kind of clear some of the air here with that because, Omega up until, I don't know, it was like '03, '04 or something like that. Or no, I think it was even later. I think it might have been '07. That wasn't until '07 about is when they introduced I believe the 8500 movement, silicone hairspring. You know, Rolex already had that. Rolex already had in-house movement. They were using that. Rolex have had in-house movement since the beginning. Okay, so now Omega decides to step in. Omega used to have in-house movements back in the '60s, '50s, whatever it was, but they go to this ETA stuff to make a cheaper watch, and everyone wants to cut corners to make more profit. Rolex didn't cut any corners. I mean, they're all in-house movement. They had the blue hairspring since probably the silicone hairspring since what do they call it, parachrome, whatever they call it. But anyway, they've had it since I don't know, I believe '06, '07, around then when they started putting them in there. I think the first watch they introduced it to was the Daytona. But, if you really compare them apples to apples, they're not the same. They're not comparable. Rolex is far better. It's a way better watch. 904 steel they use instead of the 316. Who came out with the first ceramic bezel? Rolex. Who copied? Omega. Everyone else, Rolex does something, everybody else does it. Everyone else follows suit. Okay, so how could you say, or how could anybody say that Rolex and Omega are the same? The way it looks to me is finally Omega is trying to catch up with Rolex. They're finally, getting up to that level. They're not there yet, but they're finally getting there. I think Rolex is the best, and then the guy was talking about how he's got, how he likes Patek Philippe, and he's got some, and that's great. I don't have one, and I believe a Patek Philippe is higher than Rolex because those are they're handcrafted. They're, like a work of art. I mean, they're really nice timepieces, and I agree with that. But a spade's a spade. I'm not going to sit here and say Rolex or that Omega is as good as Rolex because it isn't. They're not, okay? I can't stand, I don't know, I don't understand how anybody can say that Rolex or say that other brands are just as good as Rolex when those brands use ETA movements. ETA movement is a shortcut. It's just cheap. There's nothing to it. I mean, not that they're bad movements. I'm not saying they're bad movements. Will they keep the time? Yes, they'll keep the time. But their manufacturing, are they taking the time with the watch? Everything that goes in it, to build an in-house movement is way better than the ETA. It's standard ETA. If you've got a Breitling with an ETA and you have a Tudor with an ETA, let's say you have both Breitling and Tudor both use 2824, right? You got the same movement. It's the same damn movement. So what do you have better? If you have a Breitling, how is your Breitling any better than the Tudor? It's just the design, the way it looks. Oh yeah, Breitling made the case and the dial and everything for this. Oh, great. Tudor, and what it is it's to save money. So how can you, and Omega's done it for years, so how can you say that a Rolex and Omega are even and equivalent? They're not. They're not equal. Omega is just barely nipping at their heels, or at Rolex. I mean, they're barely there. They're barely a contender now. Okay, so when you're talking about, everyone's talking about the tiering system and all this kind of stuff all the time with watches, where they're at, what level. Omega's right here and Rolex is right here. Patek Philippe up here. all the other brands above. I mean, there's brands better than Petit Philippe, I'm sure, but you got $1 million for a timepiece. I simply like Rolex because they're in-house made, 100% quality, timeless designs. You know, the most copied watch out there. Okay, everybody wants to copy a Rolex. Everybody copies them. Why are they being copied? Because they're one of the best. Because everybody wants to have a Rolex. They like the design. But anyway, I just want to get that, clear the air with that. Hope you guys, leave your comments down below. Thanks for watching my channel. I'll probably do another video tomorrow. I know I said I was going to do them on Sundays, but I thought I'd rather, since I got those comments earlier, I was like, you know what, I'm going to kind of touch on this a little bit right now. But anyway, you guys take care, and we'll see you next time. Bye.